That music starts running. Jess knows that it's time. What time is it? It's time for Mule and Donkey Talk, and Jess definitely wants to be in on that. Jess, where are you at? Jess, are you there? Yes, Jess is there. All right, so Jess is there, Steve's there, I'm here, so we're good to go. We're good to get started. Hey, folks, my name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards. Every week we get together to talk mules and donkeys, and this week is no exception. As a matter of fact, this is a great week because last week we weren't with you live. We had one of our best episodes ever, thousands of views on YouTube. We replayed that one for you last week, and I sure do hope that you enjoyed it. We've been doing this regularly for I think the last 4 years now, maybe 5 years. I don't know. It's going by fast. The days are long, but the years are short, is what they say, and I think they're right. Whoever they is. But yeah, it was a bummer not to be with you live last week, but we sure are glad to be back with you this week. Steve, it's been 2 weeks since we've seen each other. How has life been out on the ranch?
Well, we've been quite busy. Mesquite trees have got all that winter rain that we had. And now the mesquite trees are just full and nice. And so we've been trimming trees. We've been working weed eating, killing rattlesnakes. Yeah, a little bit of everything. And I lost you.
There we go. I accidentally hit the wrong button, and you hit the wrong button with this tech. Yeah, that's usually not par for the course. Usually I'm telling other folks, hey, you got to get the right button, and I hit the wrong one. So Steve, we bought a swimming pool, but it's one of them redneck swimming pools. It's one of them above the ground swimming pools. That's
what I got.
Yeah, you got that. And I don't have level ground. I put it up, and I thought it was going to be okay. And about 30 minutes in, I leaned over the side and all the water just came, going out of it. About 2 hours worth of water filling it up. And then I came out the next day and it was banana shaped. Instead of a circle, it was banana shaped. So I think I'm going to have to move it and find some flat ground. But the boys love it. They don't care. They're out there loving it. 11, 9, and 6. And shoot, man, when they're acting wild, you just get them in light or get them in water, and sunlight or get them in water, and they'll do just fine. I'm sure we got lots of parents out there who can give their tips for wrangling wild boys. Of course, I've got that times 3, so I'm going to need 3 times the amount of tips. Folks, every week we do get together to talk mules and donkeys, and you drive this program. I've got about 8 or 9 questions that have come in over the last couple weeks. And we'll get to those, but we want to get to your questions first and foremost. You're here, you're live, we want to hear from you. So what would you like to know? Well, to get things started, we would love to know that you're just here watching. And the 3 things that we ask is, first, you put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comments section. This is so we can see you. This is so we can get to know you. This is so we can get familiar with you and learn your story. And over these episodes, over these weeks, get to know your story more and more and just see how far you and your animal are able to come. So name, where you're watching from, what the weather's like. The second thing we ask is that you go ahead and put any and every mule or donkey question that you've got in the comments section. This program thrives 100% off your questions. Matter of fact, we get folks texting us and emailing us all the time saying they love listening in, they love watching in, and they enjoy it every week to the point where it's appointment viewing. It's TGIT. Thank God it's Tuesday, they say. And so we sure would love to get some great questions today so everybody watching has a great program. You're going to make this program great. We're counting on it. The third thing that we ask is that you go ahead and share the broadcast. And it's real simple on YouTube or Facebook. All you have to do is click the like button. That tells the algorithms this is a good thing. Or you can click the share button. That tells the algorithms this is a good thing. Or you can just leave a comment, tag a friend or family member, and that tells all the algorithms that this is a good thing. So with that in mind, I want to go ahead and I want to get right in to our first questions of the day. We had some great questions come in over this last week. And the first question that we had was really less of a question, Steve, and it was more of a comment that I wanted to hear your take on. Now, we had somebody message in saying that they were interested in the trail rider bit, and they talked to their trainer, and their trainer said that for their mule, that the trail rider bit was going to be too rough. It was too aggressive of a bit. And so I was real interested. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's not, something new. What do you say to folks who will look at either the trail rider bit or even the double twisted wire snaffle bit, which is what comes with the Mule Rider's martingale, and they say it's too harsh of a bit, it's too aggressive, because you know that's going to be something that comes up. So, what do you say when folks make that comment?
Well, I gotta say, number one, they're a horse person in a mule costume would be the one way I would look at it really quick. Because here's the thing with that bit: when you get to where you're handling that bit, you're riding 20% off your hands, 80% off your legs. That bit is extremely light. It works off of the palate of the roof of the mouth. And so, in other words, here's the bit, and it just kind of whisks the top. And when you pull back on the reins, it whisks the roof of the mouth. Okay, and when it does that, it does the first communication saying, "I want you to tip your nose down." The second part is with that part that goes up against the palate. Now there are parts that are called the bars of the mouth. And the bars of the bit lay on the bars of the mouth. So here is what the mouth looks like. These are the incisors here, the front teeth. Then there's an area called the bar of the mouth that there are no teeth. Then you have your molars. Unless you have a John Mule, then you will have your incisors, your canine tooth, and then your molars, okay, back here in the back. And so that bit then sets on those bars of the mouth. Now, that's asking the whisk on the top of the roof of the mouth, telling where it rolls on the bars of the mouth, and then the demanding part is where the chain bumps the nerves on the bottom of the chin. It's extremely light. Extremely light. It works very quietly and it's meant to be used one-handed, okay? And so one-handed only. If I need to add a second hand, that means I am direct reining with two hands, all right? And I'm going to direct rein. That's all. Notice how much my hands are moving. Here is the horn, right here, okay? Here's the horn. My hands, I give direction, impulsion, and both of them go. This hand, my right hand, does not go past the horn. Watch the majority of your riders. Their hands go past the horn and they go to pulling. This bit is meant to barely pick up on the bridle. Okay? It's called a correctional mouthpiece because if I need to pick up on a shoulder, I can do it just like a snaffle bit. Okay? Now, my question is, what bit are they saying is going to be easier on the mule? Tell me. I'd like to know, because if there's something better, I want it. Now, we have to also understand that my bit is only designed for mules and donkeys. It's not a horse bit. You go into the majority of places where you buy this stuff, and it's all horse folks. So you're putting a horse bit in a donkey's mouth. Does that make sense to you? Don't make sense to me.
Yeah, they didn't say what the alternative was, but it seems like there's a lot of different opinions out there on just about everything: saddle,
Well,
shoeing, breeching,
uh,
crupper, breast collar, cinches, pads, taps, stirrups, bridles, like everything. And so bits is not going to be an exception. The idea here that is, folks, we're going to give you the information, and then you get to make the decision on whether or not you want to follow and experience what we're telling and what we're sharing and the stories that we hear from folks, or if you're going to try something different. So that's what we do. I thought it was a great question. Bits is
Yeah.
something that folks are always asking about, and so taking a few minutes to talk about that I thought would be helpful.
Yeah,
um,
Dave, I'd like to follow up on that rather than just leaving it kind of late. If we can text her and say, what bit is he saying he wants to use? And what is his outcome? What's he trying to do? Is he trying just to trail ride, or is he actually training? Or is it a she that's doing this? I don't know. But, if time and time again, I tell everybody, if you've got a question, call me. Call me. I'll answer your question. Send me pictures. And I just was helping a lady with the correctional mouthpiece here the other day with my trail riding bit. She wanted to know if it was in the right place. Well, it's going to depend on the mule, because here's the thing. Most horse riders do this. They make them pack the bit. They'll put a cavesson around their nose to keep them from moving their mouth. Well, why is the mule moving his mouth? Because he's trying to say, what can I do to be comfortable here? So when you go and create one wrinkle or two wrinkles, you're not making that mule comfortable. You're making him uncomfortable. But if you allow that mule to pick up the bit and pack it and show you where he likes it, not just one time, not just 5 times, but every time you put that bridle on, always loosen it up a notch or two, have them take it off, and then when you put it on, you put it on and let them pick up the bit and pack it. The biggest problem with the majority of riders is they try to put on a pre-adjusted bit, and they're making the mule uncomfortable by constantly having that bit banging on their mouth because they have it too high. Then they wonder why they have an ear shy mule. Well, why is this? Now my mouth is really tender, and you go and pull that bridle up over my ear, and you bump my mouth again, and I throw my head. What do they think? See, they don't think out of the box. They think, oh, he's ear shy now. No, you made him ear shy. Hear that? You did it because you didn't allow the mule to pick up the bit and pack it and to carry it. I never, ever put a pre-adjusted bit on. I always put it up. I wait. I be patient. If you're not going to be patient, don't get a mule or donkey. Get a wheelbarrow. Let's go back. So they'll pick up the bit and pack it. Wait. Don't hurry up and adjust it. Wait. When the head drops, when the nose comes on the vertical, then they're saying, I'm happy. Don't just put that bridle on with their head in the air. So many people make those mistakes and they blame it on the bit, Dave. It's not the bit. It's their fault.
Yeah, that's a great question. Great comment. Let's hop in, see who is hanging out with us today. Oh gosh, where did the comments go? There they are. Hey, we've got Brian watching from Wisconsin, where it's sunny and 78. We've got Candy watching from, I think it's Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. Nice, rainy, but pleasant. Hilda watching from Oklahoma, where it is gloomy, and we are praying for no more gloomy in Oklahoma. David Pengelly, Mr. Coffee by David himself, a beautiful 80 degrees here in Manchester, Georgia. He's not trying to make you feel bad, Hilda. He's just calling you down to Georgia. Hilda says, I drove my mini mule in a combined drive this weekend, and out of 24 horses, we won the whole show. Lowest dressage score overall. That's awesome. Okay, so what is a combined drive? And then what does lowest dressage score overall mean, Steve?
Okay, so what it amounts to is combined driving. It would also depend on the type of vehicle that you're in. But you're actually going over and around and through obstacles. And then the dressage moves are actually can be something as simple as the wagon staying in place and the animal side passing to the right or side passing to the left, or even going straight and bringing the animal off at an angle, and just things like that. I mean, for a mini mule to win against the horses in that class, congratulations. I'm happy with you. Got to send us pictures of you and your mule and your ribbon.
Yeah, that's right. Send us pictures. We would love to see. That would be a lot of fun. Christian is watching. Hello, watching from Central Idaho. Thunderstorms and power glitches. Ooh, that sounds like a good band names. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Thunderstorms and power glitches. First time joining you live, so hopefully the power stays on. Just received my trail light saddle yesterday. Can't wait to try it out on my mule and hoping to see him relax and find some comfort. Steve, when folks want to get a saddle, you won't help them at all. You won't hop on the phone with them. You won't spend as much time talking with them. They're just left in the dark and they just have to order it, right?
They didn't order a saddle from me then. If they order a saddle from me, they're going to get phone calls. They're going to get a saddle fit video. You know me, Dave, it's education. You buy something from me, it's like I tell people, I'm going to call you. Every one of my customers, if you buy a come along rope, I'm going to call you. I'm going to visit with you. But you buy a saddle, I want to educate you. I don't want you just to buy a saddle, okay? I don't want you just to buy a saddle. I want you to understand when you bought the saddle, it's going to work with your mule, and I stand behind it.
Yeah, if you're not looking for a great buying experience, if you're not looking for true American hospitality, if you're not looking for a great conversation and assurances that you're about to purchase the right thing, just talking about the stories, you're really not looking for Queen Valley Mule Ranch. You're looking for some city slicker type deal there. No, we're real glad for you, Kristen, and we cannot wait to see pictures. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, folks who have purchased, they know Steve likes to hop on the phone and make sure folks get what they need. The whole goal here with this show, with the store, is to pass on everything Steve knows. We are just so fortunate that life lasts as long as it does for so many now. But Steve says time and time again that, when God takes him home, he'll have a whole bunch of mule and donkey videos here to keep serving y'all. He'll be moved on to other things, occupied with other things.
Bigger and better.
That's right. David Scholl is watching. Hey, beautiful sunny day in Queensland, Australia. Oh, where is my glockenspiel? Where is my sound effects? David Scholl. There we go. Gone international. Started packing my bags for American holiday, and we cannot wait to see you. That'll be great. Hey, another David, Dave O'Brien, East Texas, 75 degrees and cloudy. We've got Romy Ludwig from Maryland watching, where it's a beautiful day here, about 75 degrees. When do you know when to switch from the twisted snaffle bit to the trail rider bit? That's a great one.
Okay, so, and transition is really important. I only have two bits. I've got a bit, which is my Mule Rider's martingale, and which has a double twisted wire snaffle bit on it. Wonderful communication, ultra light on the mule's mouth. So now, when you use the Mule Rider's martingale, you're going to be using direct reining, two hands. When you're going to be riding in my finish bit, the trail rider bit, you are going to be riding with one hand. You're going to be riding 80% off your legs, 20% off your hands. Now, when I am riding my Mule Rider's martingale, I am riding with two hands. I am directing impulsing. I am moving my hand slightly. Notice I'm not over pulling. I don't do that. I want communication clear. The day I can, without any leg communication, when you're using a snaffle bit on a mule, you do not use legs. It's too much pressure on their mind. They're going to pay more attention to the leg because of the bumping and the spur than they are with your hands on the snaffle bit. So when you are building a foundation of a neck rein, you are only using the snaffle bit, okay? So the day I can, one-handed, with my Mule Rider's martingale, pick it up and back up 2 steps, go to the right 2 steps, go to the left 2 steps, go forward 2 steps and stop, is the day I can introduce the trail rider bit to my mule. Notice I did not say I'm going to ride. I did not say that. I'm going to introduce. Folks, the biggest thing, biggest problem, especially with horse people, is they put the bit in the mule's mouth and they expect to go riding. That mule is not stupid. He's going to ask questions. He's going to say, hey, hey, hey. And everybody goes, well, he's mouthing a bit. No, he's not. He's asking questions about that bit. Where can I put the bit in my mouth and I'm the most comfortable? When I use my mule rider's martingale, I never, ever, 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 ever adjust it. I let it hang down, bumping the front teeth, the incisors. Why is that? Because when it bumps on the incisors, it makes them uncomfortable. They'll reach down, pick up the bit, and hold it and pack it. When they are packing it and holding it, guess what? They're going to be comfortable. When you're creating one wrinkle or two wrinkles and putting a cavesson on their nose, guess what? You're not going to have a comfortable mule, okay? They're gapping their mouth and this sort of thing. Give that mule, give that donkey time to spend time to figure out that bit. When that mule picks up that trail rider bit and holds it, he's starting to be comfortable. When that mule, when that donkey drops his head, now he says, I understand the bit and I'm comfortable. Let's go riding. No. We're not going to go riding. You just put the bit in the mule's mouth. Do you think he's got it? No. How many bits has that mule had in his mouth before you bought him? Think about that. You're having to fix the problems that other people have put on that mule using a horse bit. You remember, folks, look at all those bits on those walls. You go into any tack store, you're going to see 100 bits. Not one of them are going to be consistent on that mule. Now let's go back. I take the bridle off. I take my mule rider's martingale. This is the next day. No, this is the same day. I take the bridle off and I wait. A couple minutes later, I put the bridle back on. Now remember, before, that mule, that donkey was moving their mouth, trying to find out, where's the most comfortable place I can hold this bit? Where is it? Where's the most comfortable place? And then they get quiet and hold it, and then they drop their head. The second time, it's usually quicker than the first time. Now we go riding. No, we don't go riding. What we do is take the bridle off, give him a scratch, put it back on. See, I'm building a foundation, letting this mule figure out that this bit is not going to hurt him, that it's going to make him uncomfortable, and he's going to do it on his own. Now, you first did this with the mule rider's martingale. In the video I sent you, it says the mule needs to pack the bit. And you take that same transition and you do the same thing with the finished bit. So now, on the third time, that mule immediately picks up the bit, gets quiet, drops his head down. If he doesn't, wait and be patient. But usually they do. And when they do, go riding. Nope. Take the bridle off, put the mule away. Put the bridle off, put the mule away. If you're going to go riding, put the mule rider's martingale on and go out. Now, a couple days later, maybe even the next day, put that trail rider bit back on, go through the same process, 3, 6, 9, 12. You want a mule with a nice mouth, go through the heartache it takes to make it right, especially if other people have been riding that mule, especially if they've been using smooth snaffle. Smooth snaffle, you can tell a horseman that's supposed to be a mule trainer right off the bat, because they want to use a smooth snaffle bit on a mule's mouth. The smooth snaffle bit is the problem is this: you have to over pull. You have to over pull to get them to go. It gets worse, it gets worse, and it gets worse. They start gapping their mouth, they start elevating their head. It gets worse. Everybody thinks, well, I'm getting somewhere. No, you're making a hard mouth mule. So I just gave you a little tiny overview. But how do you know when it's time to go from the mule rider's martingale to the finish bit? Is you can start your transition is the day you can pick up on that martingale and do everything one-handed.
All right, let's hop in here. Great question. Thank you for the answer. Hey, we've gone international even more. We've got Trace watching from Queensland, Australia, after 50 millimeters of rain. So, taking a break from the rain and watching some mules. Well, I guess we're not mules. Watching us talk about mules. There we go. David Pinkelly says, I forgot one day to buckle up my headstall. My mule packed my trail rider's bit and trail rode all afternoon. She never complained. If it was too severe, she would have let me know for sure. So there you go. Just more evidence right there. They're going to let you know. Bill Rose, sharing to Mules of Ohio and Indiana. Rain today, 66 degrees. We love hearing it. Folks, if you're just hanging in, we're about the halfway mark. We'd love to know that you're watching. Please put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like today so we can say hello and hear from you. Ask any and every mule or donkey question that you got and then share the broadcast. Andrew from Queensland, Australia says, I have recently bought my first mule for hunting in the backcountry, and I'm hoping you could steer me in the right direction for a saddle for hunting and roping. What would you say, Steve, to someone who's looking for a saddle for hunting and roping?
In Australia, is he? He should get to know Dave, the mule man of Australia. Anyway, and that's something though. Dave Scholl went from a worm farmer to a mule breeder.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
What
awesome.
an awesome deal. So let's go back. Okay. All of my saddles have the exact same tree, a wood tree, fiberglass covered, tough tree. Same bars I've been using, get this now, for close to 50 years now. Okay. A long time. Well, probably close to 30 years, huh, Dave? I keep time's going by so fast anyway. So that saddle, whatever saddle you choose, will have the same tree. You just have to look at the saddle and say, I like the looks of that saddle. Now, if you want nice and light, 18 pounds, trail light saddle. What I always suggest for the guys is I developed a saddle for the guys that is basically a cowboy. It's called the Buckaroo Trail Light, the Buckaroo Light. It only weighs 18 pounds. It's an unpadded seat. Guys do better with an unpadded seat because when they're in a padded seat, they kind of feel forward in the saddle. When it's a unpadded seat, they sit down in the saddle. So they sit down in. And then basically it's a cowboy that just weighs 10 pounds lighter. So that would be my suggestion. Get a hold of Dave Scholl. He can sure help you out. He's got several of my saddles. What's he got? 6 or 7? How many saddles have you got, Dave?
How many saddles you got, David? Next question. This one come in from Paul. Paul says, hey, I'd like to come to the Montana Clinic, which, folks, if you're not signed up, Montana is happening in a couple weeks. Steve is going to be in Superior, Montana, June 2 through 4. You have to pre-register. There's no showing up day of. You got to pre-register. And y'all can go check that out online. I'll put a link in the comment section. There are still spectator spots. Paul says, will this clinic work for half Belgian mules? Steve?
Oh, yeah. It'll work for half quarter horse mules, half anything. No problem. Mule's a mule. Makes no difference what you call it. Quarter horse, Tennessee Walker, whatever. Mule's a mule. Okay. So this clinic gets into the mind of the mule. Listen to listen to what I've named this clinic. Listen to your mule or donkey. Listen to them. And will it help you? Yes. And by the way, Dave, I have one open spot. I just had a lady call me today, heartbroken. And she says, I can't make it. I've got to go to get my knee done. I guess she's bone to bone. So I said all that to say this. I have one open spot for a participant.
Is this in addition to the one that we had Matthew as open spot for Matthew?
Yes.
Okay. All right. There you go. Folks,
So
we've got one open participant spot for Montana. We've had several folks contact us just saying, hey, I saw that it was empty, that there were no options for participants left. Well, you heard it right here. I'll make the store active. We'll add an extra spot there so y'all can go and check out and get yourself signed up and get out to Montana. Next question comes in from Kenda. Says, I've just purchased a 14-year-old mule who is tough on the mouth. Doesn't rein well at all. Can he be trained? I think there's a couple things here. You've got a 14-year-old. You've got a tough on the mouth. What does that mean? Doesn't rein well. Maybe there's something she's doing right or wrong. And then can he be trained? What does train mean? Steve, what would you say here?
Okay. Can we train a mule? Okay, here's my vision of training. I build a foundation. I teach the mule how to back up, go to the right, go to the left, and stop. That's a foundation. Once I have that firm foundation, here's what happens. The people who are riding the mule are actually doing the training because now they're riding a little different than I am. Happens all the time. I see it all the time. And can it be fixed? Yes. Why is the mule hard mouth? Easy. Horse bits. Period. You've got a different palate on that mule because of his daddy, the donkey. Just look at the head. You don't see horse, you see donkey. Okay. And so therefore that palate is really important that we work with that mouth and that palate. Now, folks, the number one thing you want to remember when it comes to bitting, number one thing is not the bit. It's your hands. It's how your hands communicate with that bit. It's how your hands do it. Second thing is always, 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 very important, have the teeth loaded every spring. Have the teeth loaded. If you want a quiet mouth, you got to have quiet hands and your hands down. If you're riding your mule with two hands and you're not training, you are not comfortable with your mule. You're bracing that mule all the time. You should have your hands down. Your hands should be no higher than one fist above the horn. Here's the horn. The hands should be no higher than one fist above it. Here's the horn. When I'm direct reining, when I'm going to the left, my right hand does not go past the horn. Period. You'll see people all the time taking their hands clear down to the hips. That's not even a good horse rider. It's you're being tough on that mule. Very, very tough. You don't pull on a mule. Mules care less about their mouth than they do their nose. And when you ride with a hackamore, you can make even more problems because they are very sensitive about their nose. So a mechanical hackamores want to be less. So going back, can it be fixed? Yes. Okay. Are you going to have to build a new foundation? Yes. Do you start with a bit? No. You start with the mule rider's martingale. No. You start with the ground communication kit using that rope, that come-along rope, to teach the mules to do everything you need to do. Now, Dave, I'm going to tell you, I got 10 riders in my clinic, okay? And as you know, Dave, I could care less about the money aspects. It's not important for me to have a ton of people at this clinic. It's not. What I want to do is I want to help each individual person. And each one of those people, all 10 of them, were almost verbatim with a mule that was running off with them or with a mule that was hard-mouthed. Yes. Why is that? They even went to some so-called mule trainers, and they were training, okay? And they're still having problems. Well, folks, when you come to this clinic, you're going to walk away with knowledge, and your mule is going to respect you because you listen to your mule. Donkeys, the same way.
Are you listening to your mule or donkey? That is the clinic out here in Montana, June 2nd through 4. You all want to get signed up. Spectator are still available. And yeah, we've got one participant. It's going to be great. Gary's got a question. Says, my 13-hand and 20-year-old Molly will not gain weight. I wish I had that problem. I wish I would have a hard time gaining weight. I have watched your YouTube segments on feeding mules and read your article on feeding and prosperity. Good job. Good for you, Gary. Her previous owner fed her a flake or two of alfalfa hay in the morning and evening. I don't like to feed horses or mules alfalfa unless necessary. I'm a grass hay guy. But I have tried feeding her only grass hay and she doesn't eat it. I tried feeding her half alfalfa and half grass hay, and she eats the alfalfa and leaves the grass. Still underweight. Is the solution the Lakin mix? Isn't it available in Oregon as far as I know? Or it isn't available in Oregon as far as I know. Also, I plan to take her on pack trips this summer and will need to carry supplemental feed. Are whole oats okay for that, or an equine senior feed? Thanks for your help, Gary.
Okay, so Gary, how old is your mule? That's really important because, folks, as they get older, it is harder and harder to keep feed, try to keep them in good weight.
20
Now,
years.
hmm?
This one's 20 years.
20, well, there you are. You got a 20-year-old mule, and it's extremely difficult to keep weight on the older mules. It is. Number one thing you want to do, float the teeth. Get the teeth with a good foundation. Now, just because you're feeding hay doesn't mean that you're getting all the proper vitamins and minerals for that mule or donkey. Okay? Don't make any difference. That's the reason I feed a pellet, because every pellet is designed to have all the vitamins and minerals that hear this word, the average mule or donkey will need. How do I know them? You do a hair follicle test or you do a blood test. Get a hold of your veterinarian. So, because here's the deal. The vitamins and minerals that I need are going to be different than the vitamins and minerals that you need. Okay? So therefore, you want to make sure that that vitamin and mineral that you're getting is going to work for you. Now, just because it's grass hay doesn't mean that it's going to have the vitamins and minerals and the necessities for that. Okay? So get your teeth loaded, get a hair follicle sample, get a blood test, something, and find out what that mule is lacking on. I'm going to tell you, most likely that mule is lacking on zinc and selenium. Those two main things. Always have salt. White salt is what you need. Keep a block salt around. The other thing I like to do is if I got one that don't do much salt, is I'll put salt in his feeder with him. Okay, but go to your vet, get the teeth floated, go to your vet, get a hair follicle sample, and then here's the next thing. Take your feed into a college that there's a lot of farming colleges and stuff, okay? And take it in and have them test the feed and see what's in that feed. Really important, folks. Just because you feed hay doesn't mean that hay is a good quality, going to do what you're going to do. Here's the downside of hay. Y'all have heard me say it time and time again. It has a lot of junk in it. Salmonella poisoning is one of the biggest killers of horses and livestock simply because it's a type of colic. So when the vets look at him, they say he's colicking. Yeah, it's probably salmonella poisoning. And it probably is from all the rat poop and all the snake parts that are in that hay. I seen a picture the other day, Dave, of a bale of hay. It's one of these round bales, and this snake was caught up in the string on this thing. A live snake caught up on the string of that bale of hay. Yeah. Can you imagine all the dead ones? Now, I got some people tell me they baled hay and actually had deer fawns parts in them, so there you are.
What parts in them? What was that last word?
Deer fawn, deer
Oh,
baby,
deer
fawns.
babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nutrition, man. It just seems like there's never ending stream of questions, and rightfully so, about nutrition. A lot of times, folks got a unruly mule. Well, they're loading them up on rocket fuel, and
Yeah.
the mule has got all these energies, and it's not the mule's fault. It's our fault for what we're feeding them. And just like with kids, man, you adjust their diet. With us, you adjust the diet, and what follows is typically a more desired outcome. Next question come in from Michael. Says, I've seen on, well, this is on feed again, so I've seen on your channel that you feed pellets versus baled hay. How do you feed mule pellets when they are supposed to graze all day? Do you feed them both? What's best for a mule that may have an ulcer issue? Is Nutrina safe choice, maintenance safe for a mule? Wish we could make it to Montana. Too much work right now. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, folks, these animals do not need to be eating all the time. They don't. Now chewing is good. Okay, I'll tell you what we did here at the ranch. We've done it for years. We got mesquite trees here and palo verdes. We'll take a limb of a palo verde, we'll throw it in there, and them mules will chew on it. Why? It makes their teeth feel good. Why is that? Because their teeth are constantly erupting. When the mouth of a horse first looks like this, and as they get older, their mouth starts parroting, and they call it long in the tooth. Yes, the teeth get longer. So it's imperative that you float the teeth so that the mule evenly, listen to this, grinds the feed for the digestive system. That's what it does. Now, all these senior feeds and this sort of thing are all well and good, but read the ingredients in them. When it says molasses, back out. Okay? Don't do that. Try to take the ingredients I have, go to a meal, and say, can you match this? But first, folks, get your meal tested. Do that hair follicle test, do that blood test. What does your mule really need? What they don't need is to be out there in a smorgasbord. I had a lady call me, Dave, just talked to her yesterday, and I tend to talk to people, okay? And she says,
Oh, you do? You
yeah,
do?
she says, I got the sweetest meal, or had the sweetest meal, and she's not sweet anymore. She goes, she's out there in the pasture. I can't catch her. I said, who's out there with her? Oh, a donkey and a horse. She don't need you.
Yeah.
She's out there with her kind.
She's she's in Disneyland, man.
Yeah.
Who's wanting to leave Disneyland? Well, parents, I guess, wanted to leave Disneyland, but she's in Disneyland with no parents or kids.
Yeah. All that feed, So I told her, I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start going to a smorgasbord the next 4 months and tell me how many pounds you gain. And she says, Steve, I hate to tell you this, but you're right. I have been going to a smorgasbord the past couple of months. I've gained 16 pounds.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, it's true.
She said, enough said. I'm going to put him in a 20 by 20 stall. And I said, okay, here's what's next going to happen. He's going to walk up and down that corral panel. He's going to not try to knock down the gate. She says, yeah, he's doing that when I do that. So I put a muzzle on him, and I turn him loose out in the pasture. Just what you just did. You gave him what he wanted. He wanted to be out there with his buddies. Sure, he gets a nibble once in a while. Put electric around that fence, around that gate, and toughen up.
So the problem that people often have with that, though, Steve, is not cruel, but doesn't it just seem like, well, I want to be with my buddies. I want to be with my friends. Hey, you've got Jess there. Jess loves to be with other dogs. I've got rabbits. Rabbits do fine with other rabbits. you know, I kind of feel bad for the mule just sitting there doing nothing.
Okay, but that's a predator. That's right. Got my little violin I'm playing. That's a predator that you are. You're a predator. Why does he want to be with a wolf? Why does he want to be with a mountain lion? No, no. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. They feel better together. Now, when it comes down to eating all the time, don't. Why? You're not feeding that thing to butcher it. You're feeding that meal to maintain it. And if you'll give it the proper diet, it'll last you for years.
Yeah, that's great. Let's see here. Chiming back over, seeing who's hanging out. Bruce is watching from Braunfels, Texas, raining 77 degrees. Johnson Taxidermy. Sherman Johnson watching over on Facebook from Oklahoma where it's 70 degrees. Barbara Vancil. Hi, Stephen Dave. 70 degrees and overcast in Missouri. Getting ready for this season's camping trip and taking my Molly. Any words of wisdom for preparation?
Hey, Barbara, you've come a long ways. Remember Dave? She couldn't have a veterinarian come around. She couldn't have a shoer come around. She's doing good. So, summer preparation. Number one, folks, if they got a little corral in there, okay, that you put them in, that's great. That's a nice thing to do. Take yourself a solar panel electric fence and put around that thing, because if they find a horse they're in love with, they will walk the line. Okay, so that's one thing to think. You can start thinking about this, folks. When mules are very suspicious of water from other places. So I start by using Gatorade. I start putting a scoop or two in my water. I have about a 25-gallon water container that they drink out of. And I start putting in a little bit at a time, and then I start adding more and more, so that pretty soon, it's not that it has the Gatorade, but it has the same smell as water at home. Next thing, electrolytes. Folks, electrolytes, really important. You're getting ready to put that mule in a trailer and travel 6 or 8 hours. They need electrolytes, because when they come out of that trailer, they need to be looking for water and drinking. Mules are horrible, and I mean horrible, when it comes down to being suspicious about water, and they will dehydrate. People say, oh, my mule don't need all this water. Yes, it does. Dehydration is a killer, okay? It's a killer. When I run on these fire runs, Dave, we IV a lot of people because they're dehydrated, okay? So yes, electrolytes, a couple ways of doing it. You can put it in the water. You can take a tube. I get ready to put them in a trailer and go. I'll take the tube of electrolytes. I'll give them a squirt, depending on how many pounds it is. And then we get on the road, okay? And then I do not take them out of the trailer when I'm on the road. They stay in that trailer. I've hauled mules all over the United States, folks, okay? They only come out of that trailer when I'm going to go and stay there for a while. They can stay in that trailer, no problem. But electrolytes the biggest thing. And then make sure, folks, you take salt with you. Make sure that they take salt. I usually take granulated salt, or a little block of this sort of thing, and I use salt. And you can put in a little container. A lot of people use hay baskets. You can do that as well. But electrolytes the biggest thing. And then also take with you, folks, Banamine. Banamine. I personally prefer injectable. So you can go IM, intermuscular, or you can go sub-Q, but I really prefer intermuscular. You can go right into the neck, okay? And the way you give your shot is you hold your hand against the scapula, and you can give your shots right here. There's less blood vessels right there in that area. So I do intermuscular is the best thing. My favorite way is to go right into the jugular. You got that big jugular along the neck. You can hold it up, get that thing puffing up, stick your needle in there, and go Banamine. Otherwise, now you can buy a 50cc bottle from your veterinarian and 18 gauge needles. 50cc bottle, 18 gauge needles, okay? And then you'll be able to do that. Why is that? Banamine is a muscle relaxant. And these mules, okay, folks, get back to dehydration again. These mules, you're taking them out and you're riding several hours and they're not used to it. You can have a colic situation in a short time, especially if you change feed. Take your feed and even as much as 50 gallons of water, if possible, with you, and try not to change feed. Okay. Change water, yeah, if you have to. But I'm going to tell you, when I used to go to compete at Bishop, I seen a lot of mules colicking and even dying simply because of dehydration. So there you are. You want to use electrolytes and want to use Banamine.
That's right. And if you've got a baby that isn't wanting to eat or drink whatever you give them, throw a little bit of Gatorade in that there too, and they'll suck it right up. I can vouch for that. Or a husband whose wife is feeding him vegetables in a blended mix. Throw some Gatorade in there. That helps too. Gatorade makes everything better. Judy's watching from Gazelle, California, 80 degrees. Laura is watching from cloudy, 67-degree mid-Missouri. Sabrina is watching from Exeter, California, 94 degrees. Today I received my saddle pad and tried it on Waylon the Wonderful. Complete satisfaction. Hey, we like hearing that. Complete satisfaction. You know what, Sabrina, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a screenshot of that and share it with the people so that they know they can get complete satisfaction too. Hey, Bradley's watching from South Georgia. It's sunny and 90 degrees. My first time tuning in live. Hey, you know what? We'll give that some applause. We're glad to have you here watching, Bradley. I bought Steve's come along rope, and that thing is a miracle. Worked on all my mules. I have messed with it, and I have messed with it since. I love it. I am getting ready to purchase a saddle and all the recommended gear that Steve offers. But I have a question, and that's why we're here. A question about a bridle for my 18 one-hand mule. Which one of your bridles will fit? He has a super long head. What would you say here? That's a pretty long... I don't think I've ever heard that big before, Steve.
18-hand mule. What in the world? What are you, 9 foot tall?
That's a big animal.
Gracious. I've never ridden an 18-hand. Now, 17 too. Yeah, but 18 hands, my goodness. Yeah, my bridles adjust out. My beta bridle has got a 19-inch brow band, and that's really important, folks. Because listen, when the bridle isn't, it has to maintain and hold the bit in the correct place. It's not just for pretty and be pretty where everybody looks nice. If it doesn't carry the bit correctly, the bridle is an incorrect bridle. That's why I designed the bridles that I have. Now, the one bridle that would really look good on that mule is it looks like it's an old-timey bridle, kind of wide, and it works good on the big-headed mules. It's all leather. It's a large bridle. And you'll see it has my concho on it, my mule head concho that I designed to my wife's mule, actually. And it's a nice bridle. So give me a call. We can visit about it, and I can help you through it. But if you just go online, go to my website. It's the leather large bridle. It'll work good for you.
Is it the large headstall bridle?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's it. I'm putting a link in the comments section right now so folks can check it out. That's fun. I've never heard. I'm sure they exist, but I've never heard of anyone with one that big. That's real fun. Appreciate that, Bradley. Glad to have you live. Hannah's watching from Dunedin, Florida, 89 and sunny. Eileen is watching. Just worked the calves in Nebraska today. Merlin is watching live. Merlin, I think right now is competing with Jim Rhodes for whoever can watch the most replays. Those two guys, well, at least comment on the most replays. Those two guys are going after it. Hello from Northwest Minnesota, 75 degrees and sunny. Busy doing spring cleanup and getting equipment ready for the season. Let's see. Ludwig says, love my Trail Light saddle from Steve. Most comfortable saddle ever. And a happy mule. David Scholl says, I have 6 Queen Valley Mule Ranch saddles. So that answers that question. Tamara is watching from Queensland, Australia. We've gone international again. Trace, David and Di Scholl can pack me in a suitcase to go to Montana. Call him up. Dave Scholl works wonders. I'm sure he can make it happen. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota. 80 degrees and gorgeous. Excited to ride again tomorrow. Trey says, don't worry about cleaning. Pick out the hooves. He will dry and dust himself off. Tamara says Trace got Rein scald. Oh, they're talking back and forth. I like it when y'all are hanging out and talking back and forth. That's fun. Sean is watching from Cloudy in 73 Valiant, Oklahoma. Really enjoy catching this every week. Always seem to learn something. Glad to hear that. Show halter versus come along rope. Get good at the come along rope, then transition for showing. There we go. Lorraine. Is Steve going to be at Mule Days in Bishop? No, he's not. In olden times, Steve had been at Bishop in years past, but today Steve spends the majority of his time working individually on setting up clinics that are Steve Edwards only clinics, and that's what we've got going on in Mule, in Montana, Superior, Montana. But Steve is also going to be at the Mule and Bluegrass Festival in Shelbyville. And it's a real neat thing. It's a fundraiser for U.S. veterans, and all of the proceeds that are raised, they go directly to benefit our veterans, our men and women in the armed services. And we're very, very grateful to the folks of the Mule and Bluegrass Festival. Number one, for putting on such an awesome event. This is the second year in a row. But number two, for having Steve coming back out. And that's going to be happening last weekend, running into first weekend in October. So last week in September, first weekend in October. I'll put a link in the comment sections. But as always, muleranch.com, y'all can find the clinics tab, and that will give you all the information. Bill says, lots of great information tonight. Thanks, fellas. Well, we're doing our best, Bill, so we'll pat ourselves on the back when we're done here. Hilly Hole Farm, Scott in South Carolina, 77 and sunny. Bradley says, can I share a photo on here? Bradley, no. Facebook doesn't allow, or Facebook and YouTube don't allow us to upload photos in these live streams. But send us a message. Send Steve a message, one of us, and we'll take a look at that photo. And it'd be awesome to be able to share that with folks. Yeah, 602-999-6853. 602-999-6853. You know what, folks? Steve loves getting the photos that y'all send. If you do need to hop on the phone, you can. But if you just want to share a picture, Steve loves getting a picture. And you'll probably get a little bit of advice on how you could do even better than you've already done if he sees something, notices something. Amari says, I'm excited to have successfully trimmed my 3-week-old baby mule's feet. It is her first trim, and I did it while listening to you from sunny Missouri. And we're always talking about that, folks. Always talking. You can do it. You don't have to be held hostage to farriers. We appreciate our farriers. We love our farriers, especially the ones that know the mule and know the donkey and don't just treat them like a horse. You don't have to necessarily be held hostage for a lot of the things for doctoring on your mules. You don't have to wait for the vet to come out there. You can learn and do it yourself. And you don't have to be held hostage not knowing how to train. You can train yourself too. So that's real fun. Laura says, what is the best thing to put on my come-along rope to give it that sticky feel? I use it a lot. And I think what she's saying, Steve, is I've used it so much that wax coating is gone. How do I get it back?
Well, take a leather glove and take you some paraffin wax and put it on that leather glove and go up and down that rope. I usually tie the one end to a tree limb or to the ball of my pickup truck, and I tie the other end to something else, and I take that paraffin wax on the leather glove, and I go up and down. And the more I rub it, the more that paraffin wax will go into it. Make sure you do it on a warm day so that wax will really get into that rope. Congratulations for wearing the wax off. I'm proud of you.
We should have some sort of a picture they could print off the website. Says I have to congratulations, you have to recoat your come along rope, something like that. Yeah. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's see.
Hall of Fame for come along ropes.
Hall of Fame for come along ropes. A couple more questions here. Comment came in on YouTube. Says, I ride bitless, so I don't have any issues. Steve, is it okay to ride bitless? Are you going to avoid issues if you ride bitless?
Yes, you will have mega issues, okay? Number one, I want you to see that the mule's nose is sticking out, okay? And I know they got all these bitless bridles and this sort of thing, and a hackamore is nice, but mules care more about their nose. They're very sensitive about it. And I have yet to see anyone out of all these years going to shows, judging shows, in clinics, I've yet to see one person actually have a happy mule with a bitless bridle. Not one person. Simply because of this. The people are holding on to that thing all the time. They don't ride with a loose rein, you know. So I would love to see a picture of a mule riding bridleless and see where their head is. Guaranteed, it's going to be in the air and the nose is going to be sticking out. If it's not, I love you. You'd be the first one in a long time, in many years, that would even be close to riding the mule correctly with a bitless bridle.
Had another question come in from YouTube. I thought this was important to address, and we'll wrap up here pretty shortly. When loading a mule into a trailer, did I hear you say to never tie a mule inside a trailer, or did I misunderstand? That's Ernie from Tucson.
Hi, Ernie. I rarely tie my mules up in a trailer. If I'm going to have like 6 of them in there, yes, I will go nose to tail. First one goes nose in, second one goes tail in, and I do it that way so that my weight is evenly distributed on both sides of the axles. Now, the reason I don't do that is, for one thing, mules love to look back and see where they are. So let's just say I'm on the ranch and we're getting ready to go work cattle. I've got the saddle on my mule, I got the bridle hanging on the horn, and I take my mule in with the come along rope. I take my come along off, I turn my mule loose in the trailer, and I can have 2, 3, 4 of them in there pretty easy. When I get over 4, I'm going to tie them, simply because it gets to be difficult where they'll all get wadded up in one spot. But I can tell you that I have gone all over the United States without having a halter on a mule in a trailer.
All right, here, last question. When feeding mules, is it more important to have a good temperament for the horse or the donkey, or does it matter? Or breeding mules, sorry, not feeding. Changes the
Yeah.
question drastically. When
Good for you.
breeding mules, is it more
Breeding
important
mules.
to have a good temperament for the donkey or the horse, or does it matter?
It does matter, extremely matters. Now, both donkey and mule. Now, with a donkey, disposition is great because they all just about always have disposition. The number one thing you want to look for is conformation. How straight is that donkey? How straight? Legs correct, shoulder correct, head correct, not a stubby neck. Now, folks, when you breed, AI only, artificial insemination. Don't live breed. You can do a lot better by buying a quality jack and using a live semen to breed your mare. Your mare will be happy. It's a 95% guarantee. But here's the downside. I've seen more jacks tear up mares because they get too aggressive. Okay. So AI is it. So with your mare, though, disposition. Extremely important. Second thing, conformation. Because remember, that disposition and conformation mainly comes from mama, except for when it comes down to the legs and stuff. And that's why I applaud the lady for doing her own work on her baby. Make sure, folks, when you have your babies, you make sure you balance that foot. Anybody can look at that foot and say that's flat. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do that. It's flat, okay? That's what you want to do. So yes, disposition, confirmation, and go from there.
Awesome. That's it. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today. It is always good to spend a little bit of time with you. We've got some of our folks who are catching for the first time, and then we've got folks who have been watching us for years. Eileen, shout out to you. Barbara, shout out to you. All of the people that have been watching week in, week out, joining us. And maybe you took a break and you came back. We're so glad to have you here. And maybe you're watching on the replay. It sure is awesome to spend some time with you. You have so many different options and choices on what you could be doing right now. And the fact that you spend a little bit of time with us, I say it every week, but I really mean it. Time is the one thing that you can't figure out a way to make more of. And so the fact that you're spending it here sure does mean a lot to us. Thanks for spending it here. Thanks for sharing your stories. All of our best to you, Steve. Anything you want to say before we're all done here?
No, we're good, buddy. Enjoy life, folks. I'm just watching a couple baby doves out here on a tree limb. They were bred right up here in the patio, and Mama's been out there feeding them, and it's been that's the best TV you could get. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
you know.
there ain't no way you can duplicate that on
That's
a
right.
16
Hey,
by
by the
9
way,
screen.
Dave,
What's
on
that?
your pool,
Yeah.
I got my pool almost 6 years ago. It's at Costco, $650. Okay, and
Yeah.
I've had it for almost 6 years now, and I have a happy wife because she's got a happy life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, these boys, I thought that I was good. So I'm at home today and I'm working from the house, and I know y'all think that I'm, on a back porch somewhere, but really I'm in my bedroom. I'm in my bedroom. I've got a green screen right here. Folks might think this is kind of fun. All right, let me do this here. Camera effects. So I've got a green screen here. Let's see if I can turn it off. So see, I got the green screen. And if I rolled this down, you'd see a messy bed. So I'm working from home, and right here out this window, I can see the pool. And right here over this window is the door where they come out. I've got a window right here that's closed, but I got these two open. And I swore I heard them come in. And I was like, I'm going to see that little one. That 6-year-old is going to be out there and in the pool before I can snap my fingers twice. Well, I think Mama is holding them off because she knows that we're on this call. And I'm almost positive that as soon as we're done here, I'm going to see that little 6-year-old strip off all his clothes down to his chonies and just jump right into that pool and start throwing water bottles at Mama. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but they
Have
love it,
fun.
man.
Have fun.
Uh,
Intel. I mean, yeah, that's a great pool. All right, see you later.
Awesome.